So what's up guys, I am Amazing. Welcome back to another video where today we are back with a Zombies Q&A, the series where I take your questions from the comment section below to do with the zombie storyline, Easter eggs, and I answer them. As always, if you enjoyed today's video, drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos. But let's get into it, here we go, and enjoy. So the first question of the day says, hey BOA, if Dr. Monty can wipe anyone from existence, why couldn't he just wipe away the Shadow Man? So as you say, it seems that Dr. Monty is able to wipe people from existence. We saw this in the Revelations ending, where he tricks the premise characters and begins to make them disappear. We see them start to fade away. That's until he changes his mind, but it's very clear from this that Dr. Monty has the ability to do it. So in the zombie storyline, when him and the Shadow Man were having beef, I guess, why couldn't Monty have just wiped him out of existence? He clearly has this ability, so why didn't he use it? Well, there's a couple of reasons for this. One, maybe it doesn't work on the Shadow Man. He isn't exactly a normal person. Like Dr. Monty, they're both apothecons, or they can both take up apothecan forms. Both of them are corrupted. They were the first beings to ever exist. They're pretty much the same. So because the Shadow Man isn't a normal person, maybe that's the reason Dr. Monty's powers won't work on him. Because you would have to say, during the battles that we've had with the Shadow Man, especially during Revelations, you would have thought Dr. Monty would have done more to help, but he didn't. He just sat back on the sidelines, letting Primus do everything. So that's one reason, but the other could be he just didn't want to. We know that Dr. Monty's whole plan in the end was to continue the cycle. If he got rid of the Shadow Man, that would cause the cycle to break, so it wouldn't make sense. Even if Dr. Monty could kill the Shadow Man, doing so would just go against his whole plan. It would ruin everything. The Shadow Man has to stay alive in order for the cycle to continue. So yeah, there's either two different answers. The first one being his powers don't work on the Shadow Man, and two, he didn't want to use them because it would mean the cycle breaking. The second question of the day from Fire Priest Gaming says, hey BOA, what's going to happen to the Tranzit crew after Primus and Ultimus are dead? Now I picked this question because it reminded me of another one I've been asking myself lately, and that is, what if Primus and Ultimus had nothing to do with the Victus crew at all? What if Victus were just another bunch of survivors? Or maybe Primus and Ultimus didn't exist and it was only Victus? What if the Tranzit crew never took instructions from Richthofen? Well, we kind of get an answer to this in the Zombies comics. When Richthofen sends the Tranzit crew to the empty Earth to collect the Canorium, they come across Zero Base. Inside of the base they find food, pretty much everything that they would need to survive. So they pretty much say between themselves, well, why don't we just stay here? It seems perfectly safe. We've got everything, we don't have to listen to the German anymore. So they think about staying in Zero Base. Obviously if you've read the comics, that's until Stuhlinger goes and messes with the Canorium, and that awakens Maxis's cyborg robots where they end up chasing them out. But partway through their journey in this cycle, Victus did think about just ditching Richthofen and not listening to him. So what would happen if they decided to do this? Would the cycle just reset because they're not following it? We know every time someone veers off or does something different, dies, the cycle just resets. So would the same thing happen to Victus? If they don't listen to Richthofen and decide to ignore his orders, the cycle just restarts over and over again until they do. But what if they never met Richthofen at all and they were just a random group of survivors? That one's difficult to say because they could either die or survive. We know they're pretty handy with weapons, so I would guess they're more likely to survive at least a little bit longer than the usual person, but surely eventually they're going to run out of food or places to go or just get overrun. We know they were very close to death in the end of Buried. When Maxis was about to destroy the Earth, the Transit crew would have died as well. That was until Richthofen opened up a portal for them, so Richthofen ended up saving them in that situation, whereas they would have died. And that kind of answers your question where you say, what's going to happen to the Transit crew after Primus and Ultimus are dead? We saw that event happen at the end of Tag der Toten, where Victus are banished to the Dark Ether, and Primus and Ultimus are now dead. So in this current situation right now, the Transit crew are still alive, just trapped in the Dark Ether, alone. Richthofen isn't alive to give them orders anymore. So what are they gonna do? Well, either they're trapped in the Dark Ether forever. If Treyarch don't decide to continue the Ether story, then that's the end of them. But if they did ever decide to continue the story, well, that now means we have Victus trapped in the Dark Ether with no Richthofen. So if they did end up escaping, they would be just a normal set of survivors. They'd have to survive on their own. The next question of the day says, how does the EMP work in zombies? So in Black Ops 2, there is a piece of equipment that you can get from the mystery box, I believe. I can't remember if you can buy it off the wall, but in the game, you get a piece of equipment that is called the EMP Grenade, and when you throw it at a group of zombies, it will shut them down. The zombies' eyes will stop glowing, they'll just become black holes, and the zombies then almost go into a kind of sleep mode. They sleepwalk around the map. They just start walking off in random directions, and the only way you can wake them up is if you make a loud noise around them. So if you run near them or shoot your weapon, the zombies will awaken, their eyes will glow up again, and they will continue chasing you. But how exactly does the EMP grenade put zombies to sleep? It's almost like it shuts them down. It turns them off. This wouldn't happen to a normal living being. If you throw the EMP grenade at one of your teammates, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't turn them off like it does to the zombies. How does this work? Well, an EMP, otherwise known as an electromagnetic pulse or a transient electromagnetic disturbance, is a short burst of electromagnetic energy. The origins of a pulse can either be a natural occurrence or a man-made one, and can occur as a radiated electric or magnetic field or a conducted electric current depending on the source. In this case, of course, in BO2 we are using an EMP grenade, so it's man-made, but the whole point of an EMP is to interfere or generally disrupt or damage electronic equipment, and at higher energy levels a powerful EMP such as a lightning strike can even physically damage objects such as buildings and aircraft structures. Now bringing it back to zombies, knowing what an EMP does, how does throwing an EMP grenade, which of course is man-made, at a zombie shut it down? Well, there could be a very good explanation to this. As I've just said, the whole point of an EMP is to interfere, disrupt or damage electrical equipment. Clearly, the zombies are not electrical equipment, but what we do know is they have a link to the ether. That is how they are controlled. They are linked to the MPD pyramid on the moon. In order for the person in the pyramid to control the zombies, they need to use the ether's energy. And if an EMP grenade disrupts energy, if it disrupts the ether's energy waves, then that could explain why the zombies get shut down. If there's no connection between them and the person in control of them, if there's no controller to turn them on, then that shuts them down. That puts them to sleep. It's pretty difficult to explain, but that's the only possible explanation I can think of. And it also makes me question, what if we used a massive EMP? Instead of just a small grenade, what if we dropped a massive EMP on cities around the world that zombies were infesting? Could that shut all of the zombies down? Could that be a way to destroy them? You turn them off and then that would be an easy way to control them or kill them. I haven't really thought about that before. That also makes me think, what about lightning strikes? Because in Tranzit, when the Avogadro spawns in, there is lightning in the sky, but those strikes don't seem to shut down the zombies, even though lightning is a powerful EMP. But yeah, it seems that an EMP grenade shuts down the zombies or puts them to sleep because it disrupts the connection between them and the ether. If the ether's energy that's used to control them is disrupted, then it turns off the zombies. Think of their eyes as, I guess, the standby light. When you turn on your TV, you have the red light glow up, but when you turn it off, the red light goes off. It's the same with the zombies' eyes. When they're on, their eyes light up. When they're off, the light in their eyes goes away. So yeah, that's a really interesting one. If we could drop a massive EMP on cities around the world, would that be an effective way of trying to stop the apocalypse? And the final question of the day from SetZorg559 says, hey BOA, what is the backstory of the 100 points under the perk machines? Love your videos, keep up the good work. Well, the backstory is, there is no backstory. It's just an Easter egg that was put into the game a long time ago by Treyarch. In fact, I think it was back in World at War, maybe Black Ops 1. Doing this off the top of my head, I can't always remember, but in the beginning, you weren't given 100 points, it was 25. And funnily enough, that was the only way you could get your points to end in 5, otherwise it would always be 0. So yeah, there's no backstory. I think it's actually a reference to people actually finding money, coins under vending machines. That's the reason why they added this Easter egg in the first place, and when it was first introduced, it was 25 points, not 100. So guys, there we go, that is it. That is all I have for you for today's video. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed. If you have, you know what to do. Drop a like rating, make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest videos on the channel, and as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Leave any questions you have in the comment section below, and until then, goodbye.